Ladies and gentlemen, absolutely amazing news. Share this everywhere, and it's very, very important for a number of reasons. The Republican Congress, led by really Matt Gaetz as de facto Speaker of the House, but Kevin McCarthy has defunded the IRS and plans for 87,000 new employees for the next 10 years. So, according to the New York Times, the claims that 87,000 auditors were being hired is misleading. The 87,000 number refers to a May 2021 estimate from the Treasury Department of the total number of employees, not just auditors, the IRS proposes to hire over the next 10 years, with funding requested by Mr. Biden. Now, here's why this is so amazing. So if you look, Washington Post, House Republicans vote to cut IRS budget. ABC News, House Republicans pass legislation trying to block new IRS funding. We're blocking. Yahoo Finance, here's why defunding the IRS is the House GOP's first priority. So it has already happened, and they have voted to block the funding. House Republicans use first vote to gut IRS funding boost. So here's something that you have to consider, okay? City Journal, why the Democrats kept Trump's tax reform. Manhattan Institute, Democrats, for all their promises, didn't dare repeal the Trump tax cuts. Bloomberg, Trump tax cuts set to win staying power as Democrats drop plans. They weren't going to cut Trump's tax cuts, even though they complained about deficit spending, and the deficit is close to $3 trillion. In 2019, the deficit was $984 billion. Okay, so really quickly, if you look, not only in 2019 was the deficit $984 billion, prior to that it was $779 billion, but you look, ladies and gentlemen, and tax revenue, federal tax revenue increased all throughout Trump's administration as the tax cuts were implemented. Why? Because the economy grew under Trump, and when the economy grows, the federal government gets more tax revenue. We just had a recession, and we're going to have another recession. And whereas tax revenue has grown in 2021, that could be in large part because of $10 trillion pumped into the economy through fiscal and monetary stimulus. Okay, because our economy did contract for 2 quarters. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Pacific, every single morning on this channel forever. We're almost at 204,000 subscribers. At around 3 or 4 p.m. every day, check H.A. Goodman on YouTube, because 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Pacific, I definitely forever have segments and videos. But yesterday, I did a lot of videos on the classified data that Biden potentially mishandled. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it ironic? Isn't that interesting? And nobody saw it. So I think that when there's breaking news like that, the robots go to CNN or Fox News, or the robotic the AI program, let's just say algorithm, funnels people to CNN or MSNBC or Fox News or ABC News. So for the independent content creators, definitely check their channels. Check my channel at 3 and 4 p.m. every day as well for the update as to what's going on during the day, or late evening or early evening. And of course, I have a whole bunch of videos after the 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. I should have a live stream tonight as well. But hit subscribe. We're almost at 204,000 subscribers. Go to H.A. Goodman's other channel also. and I have a 9 a.m. and 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Pacific time. So 8 and 11 Pacific here, and 9 and 12 p.m. Pacific on H.A. Goodman's other channel. To my new Patreons, thank you so very much. Your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. Very much so. If you want to become a member, please do so of this channel. I always, there's some perks with the membership. The super thanks is below, and go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, and other publications. You can be part of a newsletter there. I want to give you a little snapshot as to why Trump was infinitely better than Biden when it comes to the economy, okay? In 2021, the deficit approached $3 trillion, okay? In 2020, it was over $3 trillion. Who pushed for the shutdown of the American economy? Was it Trump? Was it Matt Gaetz? Was it Trump Republicans? Or was it bureaucrats, media, Democrats, and Democratic governors especially? Who was it? Was it Trump who said, we have to shut... So think about who caused all of this. What political side? And like I say, God bless you, Democrat, Republican, socialist, communist, God bless you. It doesn't matter who you are. Trump Republican, conservative, National Review, reading person, God bless you. It doesn't matter. You're watching this channel. I hope you have a beautiful and amazing and awesome day and week and month and year, and God bless you. However, look at what is taking place, and if you want to say, okay, let's blame these policies, this ideology, these viewpoints for what's taking place, or let's look at who is responsible for this. It's not Trump. It's not Trump Republicans. If you want to say, well, he mishandled this, and that's why we had to act in the most apoplectic manner known to mankind, that's one rebuttal. But they won't be hiring 87,000 agents, and the funding will be reduced, or the funding increase, I should say, won't take place in the manner Biden wants, because Democrats look at tax revenue, they look at government and taxes as how you grow society, and whereas Republicans or conservatives or another ideology says, hey, grow the economy. You need to grow the economy. Sure, government is involved in growing the economy. You have antitrust laws, fine. But you want economic growth. You don't want to pump the country full of 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves because your energy policies were failed to begin with. So, really quickly, in 2019, tax revenue was $3.46 trillion. It increased from 2016, from 2016 to 2019 with Trump's tax cuts. Tax revenue continued to increase. Okay? Tax revenue continued to increase. There was not a time up until the last year in his presidency where tax revenue decreased a bit. And that was because of a tiny, from 3.46 trillion in 2019 to 3.42 trillion. But you shut down economic activity gleefully. And it was a choice. And yes, there was a gleeful, sinister element to that. Okay? There was. But the emphasis from the tax cuts that Biden and Democrats have not reversed, they have kept, was economic growth. The economy, we had household median incomes at record highs with Trump, a record low in poverty in 2019. And in 2019, tax revenue had increased from 3.27 trillion in 2016 to 3.46 trillion in 2019. So tax revenue increased. And if you want to talk about tens of billions of dollars for endless military conflict, that is also a negative from choosing Biden and Democrats and the Lincoln Project embedded within the Democratic Party. But really quickly, you have a situation where you don't need a bloated or increased IRS. You need economic growth. With economic growth, you'll get the tax revenue. Okay? The higher taxes go, the less economic incentive for a lot of these businesses or corporations, because if they pay more taxes, they'll let workers go. It was the same thing with the minimum wage battle. A lot, like even Amazon, Walmart, other like major corporations. Bernie Sanders thought that he was a lot smarter than these billionaires when it comes to making money. But the issue is that corporations, if you impose a certain you impose a certain minimum wage, then they cut staff, then they cut workers, then they cut hours. If you say, well, you have to give these certain benefits, well, then they cut hours for a number of their employees. Okay, you need a certain standard, fine, but at the same time, you should focus on economic growth. And so there were economic opportunity zones under Trump, and there was an emphasis on growing the economy. That's why every demographic group did better under Trump. Household median incomes were the highest ever under Trump. And then you could look at the chart and say, well, it went up even higher with Biden. But that's because of this $10 trillion in stimulus. That's not economic. We had a recession. We had a recession under Biden, and then they say, well, it's not a recession because the unemployment rate was low. The unemployment rate was back to where it was in the beginning of 2020. Why? Because Democrats and media and the apoplectic, hysterical, morally superior, highly educated liberals finally said, oh, you can go back to work. That was a choice. Shutting down the economy was a choice, just like there's a whole bunch of choices. Forcing people to do things because you think you are so correct that there could be no other vantage point. We saw what's taking place. We saw what happened with Twitter and the Twitter files. And so you shut down economic activity, you're going to ruin lives, you're going to ruin the economy, you're going to make it difficult. Debt is at an all-time high. So we're cruising towards a catastrophic stock market collapse. I mean, I called and predicted the stock market crash of the downturn. Okay, you want to say crash, downturn. The NASDAQ was down 30%. It had the worst year ever, and since 2008, I believe. And I called that in 21. And if you're watching to my 12, 13-minute crowd, did I not call it in 21? I did. So, I mean, if you remember below, you watch the stock market crash playlist. And I think it's going to get much worse, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a balancing act. The original sin, the self-induced wound is shutting down economic activity, flooding the country full of 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves because you decided to go after the oil and gas industry when you don't have a viable alternative to oil and gas. Less than 10% of the U.S. economy runs on renewables. And I think it's even less than that in the global economy. So you're in fantasy world and dreaming as always if you're the wonderful, morally superior at the expense of hardworking people. When the left talks about the working class did better under Trump. That's a fact. Real wages were up 1.1% in 2019. That was viewed as a negative by Bernie Sanders when he was pointing out how terrible Trump was in terms of the economy. Real wages are down 7 to 8%. How is that a good thing? So AOC and Democrats and Bernie, they're like, oh, well, you have to increase taxes. They have to pay their fair share. How about not funding tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in never-ending military conflict? We get it. The corporations the interesting thing is, it's funny because Bernie Sanders and AOC and Elizabeth Warren and these people claim to care about the working class or the poor but it's Trump that did better for these people. And you look at the major defense industry and the corporations, who benefits? They benefit from Bernie Sanders and funneling votes back into the Democratic Party from people who would vote green, because the Democrats and traditional never-Trump Republicans want to fund that military-industrial monstrosity. And so, yeah, we had the economy third quarter went up in large part because of oil and arms deals and sales. But anyway, you look at what's taking place. House Republicans vote to rescind IRS funding. Democrats want to defund the police, and crime soars. Republicans, these Trump Republicans, led by really Matt Gaetz and others, and McCarthy's doing better already than anyone could have imagined. He will do a very good job, especially with all this classified data nonsense. And I have a segment. I'll probably do a segment at 11 on the Trump special counsel's done. What are they going to do? Indict Trump on classified data when Biden had his classified data out there? Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Be here at 11 a.m. right now. Give me your thoughts below. Thanks so very, very much, everybody. They defunded. House Republicans used first vote to gut IRS funding boost. Okay? Legislation is doomed in the Senate where Democrats are. Yeah, but see, that will tell you something about a difference between Democrats and Republicans. The Democratic Party want to boost government agencies to potentially end up in IRS audits or make it easier for the IRS to go after individuals. Not so with these Trump Republicans. It's interesting, too, because you want to know why they didn't go after Trump or indict him? Because Bloomberg and other Democrats who are billionaires and own real estate do the same thing as Trump. Do you think Michael Bloomberg doesn't do the exact same thing in terms of taxes as Trump? They couldn't even rescind or revoke or reverse the Trump tax cuts. I mean, these people are the biggest hypocrites on the planet. Give me your thoughts below. Be here at 11 a.m., everybody, in a couple of hours. Thanks, everybody. And be here today throughout the day to my 17-minute crowd. Check the channel throughout the day. Check the channel throughout the day, especially like around 3 or 4 p.m. Pacific time.